is it about design then, in interior design? What do you think makes a good interior designer?
Well, from my perspective, experience is key. I really think so. I think when I look back over my career as a designer, I think of the things that I undoubtedly got wrong, I've had to learn from them. Very fortunately, those clients, some of them even still come back today, so it couldn't have been so terrible. But you do make mistakes because you just don't have the experience to be able to, even with all the aid of drawings and being able to do plans and elevations, you need to be able to imagine and extrude that design. And when you can do that, it really flexes the imagination muscle. And also, every time you do something, you remember it somewhere, somehow, even if, of course, it's brilliantly documented because Charlotte's so clever at all of that detail. It lands at a DNA level without a doubt. So you remember, oh, those colours looked really fabulous in that sort of northern light. And one particular one I remember, I worked for this lovely couple up at Hampstead, and they had a sub basement, horrible old kitchen that I had to create artificial and daylight, which was almost an impossibility. But we did it through enthusiasm and experience of the lighting and the way it was all going to be set out. Created a huge window with artificial lighting, so it looked, and we used daylight lighting, so it looked as though the light was coming from the window. So visually you're taking that information and digesting it, thinking that you don't even notice that the lights were on because you're looking at a large window. It had actually very little effect on the light, but it was a combination of both the artificial lighting and the visual expectation of light coming into the building. Now, I've only really experienced that once, and I really have designed thousands of rooms. So there are so many design elements that I feel that experience really does set you aside, no doubt about it. That's good and bad, of course, because I've had to suffer the bad bits as well. But what would you say makes a really good designer, Charlotte?
Wow, I think you've said everything there is to say in that. I must admit, you really have covered everything.
But from a practical and logistical point of view, we know, I hold my hands up here, how creatives can go a little bit on the outspill, and you have to bring me back into the realms of reality, don't you? So for example, I have to have something, and you say to me, well, that doesn't quite work because of the scale, or it's not quite going to fit because of this. There's these encumbrances. So that logistical element is as important as the creative
Oh
side, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, absolutely. It really is. Yeah, there is a lot of detail that goes behind picking a particular piece. Of course, it all needs to be thought about, and that's really important. And also, I think having the confidence is really important. Even on site with all your trades, you need to be confident and have the knowledge to be taken seriously. That's also very important. And yeah, I think that kind of covers everything.
I think it's, as you say, it's the weight of the experience. It's all the lessons learned over all those years that must play such a part. Tell me then, what's the hardest thing you've ever done? Is there something that you're the most proud of? It's like the daylight one. These are great examples, aren't there?
I don't know. What do you think's the most difficult that we've done?
Difficult. Oh, that's really hard because I think we work so well together. There might be difficult challenges on site or things we probably didn't really think were going to happen. You can't see behind walls, for example. So it might be something technical like that we come across. But I think there is always difficulties, but it's just overcoming them and finding a solution that I think we're proud and confident to know that we have got that behind us. We will find a solution no matter what it is. But in terms of it being too difficult, I don't think we've come up with anything
No, it's too difficult.
that's,
No, no,
too
absolutely.
difficult.
And I was looking at, we did a grade two listed on the edge of Richmond Park. So it was made very clear that we had to work within the realms of the restrictions of it being a grade 2 listed. But as I say, back in the day when I did a grade 1 listed building, it was still quite restrictive, but not so much as it would be today. I'm sure that it's got tighter. But having said that, we worked in Chelsea. Again, that would have been, I'm not sure that was listed, but we had to have a party wall surveyor, for example, because of course many of the buildings in London are adjacent to another. So again, one that I can remember was I was terribly proud of it, and I was working for a company called Quint, and I was working in Eaton Square, and we were taking 2 apartments and bringing them into one. And I know that we had members of the Kennedy family on the apartment below, which was terribly exciting, or so I thought to begin with. But of course, we had to make sure that everything was considered, absolutely everything. So, for example, most of the work was brought up and into the building. Things that we brought through the building, obviously all the communal areas had to be cleaned every single day, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, to ensure that we were creating as minimal disruption to the existing residents as possible. And that was very, very challenging, I have to say, because I had to just tap very gently on a regular basis to the neighbours to ensure that everything was okay and that everybody was happy. So that was very much a PR exercise, something way beyond the remit of a designer. But if you're a committed designer, I think that's what you would do. But that was challenging, I have to say. Just thinking back, that would have been challenging for sure.
And the sort of people who use the services of an interior designer, is it sort of all sorts of different kinds of people?
Yes, it is. Yes, I mean, who have we had over the years? We've had
More families, couples, could be a single chap, couldn't it?
absolutely. We've had
really does depend.
developers, professionals, doctors, lots of people in finance. Always people that are terribly busy. Usually, but sometimes multiple homeowners. We've been very lucky to do second homes, and we've been lucky enough to work in France, Marbella, Palma. So yeah, we've been very lucky. Isle of Wight, one of our absolute favourites, wasn't it? It was a beautiful, beautiful house, and it was actually during the pandemic. So whilst very sadly a lot of people weren't able to work, we in construction were encouraged to do so. So we did. And so the journey across really made light of what was quite a dark time for many people, because we'd get the ferry across and drive, and then we'd have our project at the end of it. And if you want to have a look at the website, it is the Isle of Wight, and they had a garden room which was actually on the edge of the sea, and they had all their boats and toys and things in the water there. So it was absolutely fantastic. And I do remember saying to the owner one time, "Oh, I'm so sorry, all the vans and trucks are on the drive," and she couldn't get a car out. She said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll grab the boat." And I did laugh, because it's something that's, if you live inland, it's quite alien to you, isn't it? It's only perhaps when I spend a holiday in Sorghum do I realise all the fun of the boat. But if you're inland, it's not something you hear all the time. So yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? I
Yeah,
really liked
absolutely.
that.
It's clearly something you girls really, really enjoy as an interior designer. What is the buzz about it for you?
Oh, what do you think?
I think it's being a part of someone's life and changing it in such a nice way. I think more so recently, people's lifestyle and wellness has become such a big thing. And that's really what we try to help with. You know, they're creating their beautiful home, somewhere they can call their sanctuary, and it's just being a part of that and giving them something that they love. It's really lovely. It's a really nice feeling to know that they're happy and we've done a good job, and they're really pleased to live in their beautiful home after we've been involved.
No, it's absolutely true. And if it wasn't quite so addictive, I wouldn't be here 30 years on. So it is. And Charlotte's right, we meet some incredible characters on our journey, and we really do become quite integrated for that period of a project. One particular client, I had to sort of stem the tears when I was saying goodbye. I knew that it was just a moment in time, a wonderful 9 or 10 months that we spent with this particular family. And when I was leaving, it was just before Christmas, and we decorated the tree and we said our farewells and thank yous. And I was incredibly sad to leave it. And that, when I look back over the years, some of the larger projects, you really do get to know people. And I think, again, going back to trust, they trust you. You want to evoke that trust, and feel really comfortable. You become friends for that period of time, no doubt about it. So it's quite sad sometimes when we finish, isn't it? We do feel a sort of sense of loss, and we are very careful how we've created this business. So we're not just lining up project after project. It's not who and what we are or what we're about. We're very much a personalised service. So that comes with the downside, because it can be quite sad when we finish up. So we get very excited about the next one.